스탠리패러블 울트라 리덕스 요건가? 이게 내가 스탠리패러블은 옛날에 했었는데 울트라 리덕스는 안 해보. 울트라 리덕스가 아니라 울트라 딜럭스네. 뭐가 다른지 그때 하고 한 엔딩 한 두세 개만 보고. 이게 뭐 당연히 엔딩이 여러 개가 있는 게임이겠지. 내가 옛날에 해봤던 그거대로면 이 플로우 차트가 있어가지고 게임이 그거대로 진행이 되는데, 아 이거 음성도 한국이야? 예. 몇 시야 지금? 2시 37분. 8분쯤 됐겠지? 8분 됐어. 근데 이거 윈도우 클락 써가지고 하면은 이거 시간 알 수 있지 않나 이거? 굳이 뭐 이걸 물어봐야 돼? 화면에 이렇게 플레이하는 게임. 엔드 이스 네버. 더 엔드 이스 네버. 더 엔드 이스 네버. 더 엔드 이스 로딩. 아 건너뛰었네. 잠깐만. 아이씨, 그냥 합시다. 뭔 게임인지 아니까. 이 427번 방에서 계속 있는 건데, 이게 원래는 소스 엔진으로 만들어졌단 말이야. 카메라 감도가 굉장히 빠르네요. 방에서 가만히 있는데 이게죠 당연히. 원래 이 버튼을 입력하는 일을 하고 있는데 이 스탠리라는 애가.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
아니네.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
공사장이잖아 이거지.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
다른 게임으로 가는 그거네.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
저 위로 뛰어내리는 건데 나 이거 안 보고 와가지고 기억도 안 나고.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what, let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
어디로 가야 되냐 이거? 이쪽으로 가볼까?
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
포탈 같은 거 나오고. 스키드 그돌 내일 볼라. 니추 나추. Stanley is online. This is you.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
좀 되지.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience. You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
아니 근데 이게 뭐가 달라진 거임? 뭐가 바뀌었음 이게? 똑같은 거 같은데 그냥?
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation?
파이어워치가 나온다고?
Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man, spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower. Perhaps for some sort of twisted, erotic purpose.
완전 파이어워치네.
Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of
바뀌었네요.
total
그때는
mental
파이어워치
depravity.
그때
So
이
far,
게임에
I love
나왔을 때는 파이어워치
everything
안
about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
마인크래프트 저작권 때문에 그랬나? 저기 나오고.
Oh no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any...
오픈월드 게임 할 거면 밖에 나가서 돌아다니기가.
Oh, thank heavens we avoided it.
마치 그런 거야. 나는 무슨 뭐 놀이동산에 왔는데 놀이동산에서 아무도 안 걸어다니기가.
Let's find
물론
another
오픈월드
game.
게임이 다 걸어다니기만 하는 거 아니겠지. 오픈월드 자체를 정교하게 짜서 만들기 쉽지 않다는 건데 내가 봐가지고. 어느 정도 어트랙션 같은 느낌이 있어야 돼.
I think this will be just the thing.
뭐죠 이번엔?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind.
미로세진가?
Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
근데 이거하고 저는 게임이 성격이 완전 다르잖아. 하나는 경쟁 게임이고 하나는 그냥 오픈월드 게임이야.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see.
차가 좋아.
There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must.
첫 번째 건 야구고 두 번째
Okay,
거는
Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
볼이잖아. 이끼양 옷은 어울리잖아.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball.
반응 속도하고 피지컬적인 요소로 서로 공정하게 겨루는 걸 좋아하는
that
거고.
really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
지금 이 말은 뭐하고 똑같냐면 야 FPS 게임을 하는 사람들은 총 쏘는 걸 좋아하나봐. 야 그럼 총을 졸라게 많이 만들면 어떨까? 그럼 갓게 많으니까 라고 말하는 거 똑같아. 공은 그냥 스포츠 게임의 도구일 뿐이지 공이 메인이 아니지.
Well, I sure hope you're having a good time because guess what? It's over.
천문학자가
Your little fun comes to an end. This is my
만환경을 보는
what
학문이라고
I
말하는 거
say
똑같아.
goes. You get to
피해
have
좀
fun when
많이 안
I
되지,
let
그건.
you,
그건 도구일
Stanley.
뿐이잖아.
Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense
그치.
of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules.
다른 게임 꺼낼 거야?
Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
끝. 뭐 진행이 없는 건가? 아니면 그냥 몰래 이렇게 기다리면 되는 건가? 아니면 뭐 여기 추가 하나 있나 따로? 그렇겠죠 당연히.
Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back. 500번 방이네. 원래 이런 게 있었나? 이런 게 있었던 것 같기도 하고 없었던 것 같기도 하고. 방금 내가 저기 있었지. 다시 400번 방으로 돌아왔네. 이쪽으로 들어오니까 무조건 저쪽으로 가야 하네. 확대 버튼이 없어. 확대해서 볼 수가 없네. (427번) 방. 누를 수 있는 게 없어. 이게 다야. 아무것도 없음. 들어갔다 나오는 거네 원래 저기 I
아무것도
wonder what he found.
못하니까.
If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am.
뭐야 이게.
That is what I mean
아니
to
난 그냥
this
그
world.
게임에서 그냥 자기 혼자서
Oh, yes.
조용하게 탐험할 수
Yes,
있는
I'll
거.
be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
그 결국 나온 건 마인크래프트를 로켓리그하고 파이어워치로 바꾼 거밖에 없는 거야?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to
라운지
admire it.
넘어서 여기서 왼쪽으로 하는 길이
The lounge was sublime,
그게 메인
a work of
도어인데.
art. But eager to get back to business,
그래서
Stanley
원래
took the
왼쪽으로
first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the
이쪽으로 들어간
opposite
다음에.
door, and got back on track.
이게 메인 루트로 알고 있거든 내가 알기로. 이쪽 길이 이쪽이었나.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go,
길이는 있네.
from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
다른 길은 없나? 약간의 공포 같은 느낌이 들 수도 있어요 여기서. 폭탄 해체 안.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to Oh, who am I kidding?
Fired.
It's all rubbish
104번은
now. The
잘렸어.
whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone.
다른 엔딩이 더
What
있을
could it
텐데.
mean?
저기서
Stanley
저거
decided
알고
to go to
위로
the
가는
meeting
건가?
room.
아니잖아.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
이게 뭘로 가든 똑같이 나올 거야 아마 이게 내 기억에. 그치? 이게 이쪽으로 갔을 때 이쪽으로 나오니까. 근데 이게 여기서도 뭐 길이 있을 텐데 내가 알기로.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay,
불
let's give
꺼지고
it a
뭐 그러지
shot.
않나?
Why not?
불 꺼진 방에 떨어지 않나? 불 꺼진 사무실에. 아니 내 기억이 가물가물해서.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
분이 없죠.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
이 클릭해도 이게 안 열리네. 원래 그 이게 소스 엔진이었기 때문에 2를 누르거나 그럴 수가 있었거든. 하프라이프
Aha! I knew we'd missed something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
개판 내고 뭐 그럴 것 같긴 한데.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanleyparable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that? No, I'm done. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
아 왜? 그거 직무태만이야. 다시 가볼까? 한 번 다시 가보자. 한 번만. 원래 이런 게임은 우리 가만히 있거나 해야 되는데 내가 인내심이 부족하니까.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction.
여기 선이
Onward,
보인다, 이제.
Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember... Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanleyparable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
원래 이런 진행이었나? 이쪽으로 다시 볼까?
Still missing the doors. Did we make a mistake following the line? Perhaps we could have found the story on our own. Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you...
저 아래로 가는
I
게
can't take
말
this
따라했을
anymore. To
때
hell with it. Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
다른
We're
방으로
intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds
이쪽으로
perfectly
열겠죠.
doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
아, 이쪽으로 열었네. 근데 이쪽 437번인데?
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
방해 구조가 돌고 돌지, 그지? 그래서 내가 아까 뒤로 간 건데 한번. 여기선 근데 이게 좀 구조가 특이하네. 여기서는 이게 또 정상적으로 작동하는데 여기서는 계속 돌고 도네. 이게 여기서는 벽이 없는데 여기서 봤을 때는 이게 이렇게 되니까 이게 말이 안 되는 구조지. 그 몇 번 감았던 것도 이게 기억을 하니까 이게 이 루프를 지금 얘가. 아니네, 이쪽으로 하면 또 길이 있네. 이게 이런 구조가 나올 수가 있나?
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
저거 트레이드마크는 왜 붙이는 거야?
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with that counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
여기.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
이런 게 있었나? 혼돈인데 이런 게 있었어?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanleyparable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanleyparable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanleyparable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
소설용으로 나왔다고?
The Stanleyparable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanleyparable, delighting audiences the world over.
그런가? 거의 비슷해요,
Please
사실상.
step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanleyparable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
백 없을 것 같은데. 아, 이런 게임은 죄가 있진 않아.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanleyparable Ultra Deluxe mostly tedious.
아니, 원래
It's as if
스탠리패러블이
Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle. Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
DLC 돌릴 거 아니야?
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to
야,
say,
이게
initial impressions of
같은데,
this game
이게.
are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanleyparable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is. That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game? And we'll try to get back to what the Stanleyparable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks, just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
자기네들도 근데 이걸 새로 팔아먹으면서 새로운 콘텐츠라고 넣은 게 저거잖아. 나 이런 말을 할 거면은
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
아니, 본인들도 게임을 정말 새로운 게임을 만들었으면은 내가 뭘 안 하겠는데 이걸 새롭다고 하기는 좀 신선함을 느끼지
Okay,
못하고
you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanleyparable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanleyparable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanleyparable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity.
아니야, 그때도 그렇게
Back
나왔어.
then, it all meant
이거는
something.
조금
Oh,
어폐가
the
있어.
waste.
그때도 EA 게임들은 그때도 개판이었어. 근데 물론 저런 업적 다 깰 수가 있지. 다 깰 수 있는데 툴이 있으니까 어찌 보면 툴이. 유욕 테임즈 이런 게 있었다고? 아니 없었어 이런 거. 이거는 나 들어본 적이 없는데 이런 유욕 테임즈 저런 기사가 실렸다는 거. 로스앤젤레스 타임즈 네. 저런 기사가 있나? 아니 없어. 그리고 이게 요것도 좀 다 찍찍해졌는데 뭔 소리야 이게?
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanleyparable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. Jane Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote,
그걸
We're
알지.
so many games that aspire to be more than games,
게임을
end up
많이 본
less than any
사람과
form
조금
of
해본
art.
사람과 게임에
Stanleyparable
진정한
strives
그 열의가
and
있는
then
사람과 없는
succeeds to be
사람들의
every
차이가 좀
game
있지.
ever
이게
created.
게임에 대해서
Did you
얼마나
hear that,
진짜고
Stanley?
완벽하냐에
Every
대한
game ever
기준이 다르기
created.
때문에
That's how grand and
이제 그런 같은
all-encompassing
사람이
the
주로
original
게임은 굉장히 개쓰레기
Stanleyparable
게임들이야.
was.
뭐
It was literally
실질적으로
every game
제공해주는
ever created.
게임 플레이가
It was
없기 때문에.
Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And
페르소나
now
3는 아니야.
it's nothing.
페르소나 3 있었고 스카이rim은
It's no games at all.
야, 이게
It isn't even the
스탠리패러블 말 그대로
Stanleyparable
풍자한 게임이야
anymore.
이거는.
It's
게임
just a
산업에 대한
husk
전반적인
now.
풍자인데 사실
A
그
lifeless
전작도 그랬어.
husk with an
2013년도.
hour of new elevator content.
이거는 그냥 DLC 돌려가기 하는 거고 사실 리뷰에 대한 거는 스탠리패러블에 10점을 주는 거는 난 그 디스코 엘리시움한테 10점 주는 거 약간 비슷하다고 생각을 함. 그러니까 디스코 엘리시움이 막 솔직히 이 게임하고 완전 다른데 디스코 엘리시움이 과연 하프라이프 2보다 더 뛰어난 게임인가? 뭐 내러티브적으로는 그럴 수도 있지만 사실 인게임 플레이적으로는 그렇지 않거든. 누가 봐도 그렇지 않아. 게임 디자인적으로 봤을 때도 그렇지 않고. 근데 그 게임에서 주는 메시지가 정말 뛰어나다면 그게 과연 진짜 인게임 플레이가 있는 하프라이프보다 더 뛰어난 게임인가? 난 그렇지 않다고 생각을 하는데 개인적으로는. 이제 이것도 마찬가지죠. 이것도 10점 만점에 10점 주는 저널리즘들이나 아니면 뭐 메타 크리틱이나 메모리 좋은 메인테인 도잉 유얼 시티 저게 왜 있는 거야? 퍼스널부터 이요. 빨간 문, 파란 문. 근데 다른 게임 말해도 되는 거. 아, 뭐 이 게임은 애초에.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanleyparable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game
게임에 대한 메시지를
memories.
던져주는 그런 게임들이 많지 않았기 때문에 그때 당시에는. 근데 뭐 지금은 이게 과연 신선한가? 이게 과연 이런 식으로 얘기를 하는 것 자체가 과연 이게 의미가 있는가?
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on.
2013년으로?
I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
아, 초록색은 좋은 스팀 리뷰고 빨간색은 나쁜 스팀 리뷰야. 스팀 리뷰.
Okay, let's see what this one says.
아, 이러고
While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin.
이거에서 약간 할 말이 있는데 게임 속 대사가 엄청나게 긴 게임들이 진짜 있어. 그 미드나이트 선즈 같은 게임을 한번 해보면 게임 속 대사가 정말 어떻게 이렇게 길 수가 있는지.
You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down.
이게 왜 그러냐면 게임은 모든 사람을 만족시킬 수가 없어. 그런 게임은 없거든 애초에.
Perhaps the Stanley Parable.
그럼 게임이 하는 역할이 모든 부분을 다 채울 수 없어. 이 게임에서 당연히 하프라이프 같은 건플레이를 원하든가 콜 오브 듀티 같은 빠른 건플레이를 원하든가 아니면 건플레이가 아니라 전략 게임을 하고 싶다든가.
Isn't quite as sterling as I always
한
remember.
분야에서 게임이 완벽하다고 말할 수가 없단 말이야. 모든 사람을 만족시킬 수 있는 게임은 없어. 근데 무명포가 내가 제일 잘 만든 게임 중에 하나로 생각을 하면서도 무명포가 모든 플레이어를 만족시킬 수 없는 것처럼 당연히 그렇지.
You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customers. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes.
이런 스킬 말하는 게 아니라 저걸 말하는 거지 사이버펑크 이런 식에서 나오는 그런
on
스킬
the
말하는
nature
거지.
of choice in video games, of course. Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort. Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this?
이 말이 얼마나
Here I
긴지
am,
궁금해서
stuck in a room, waiting for
기다려보는
you
거예요.
to press this button and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time. But if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curving inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
(30초) 해볼게. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 누릅시다.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days. Months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life.
이 환풍구는 돌아가는 거야? 나무가 안 썩고 저렇게 있을 수가 있어? 지진 났어? 어디서 나는 거야 이 소리가? 삐삐삐 소리가. 저 화재경 무기구나.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of...
언제까지? 화재 경보기도 꺼진 것 같은데. 근데 뭐 다른 변화가 있어야지 뭐 이걸. 진전이 없잖아. 이거 누르는 거밖에 진전이 없어.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,
그 진짜 녹음한 거야? 방금
is never the end, 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 is
비가 오는데? 물이 찼나봐. 이 무너져서 갈 수가 없네. 아니 무슨 뭐 지진 났어? 파이프가 고장나서 이게 무너졌나? 근데 이렇게 무너지진 않는데 집이 오래돼도. 뭐 얼마나 많이 지난 거야? 시간이라는 개념을 인간이 인지할 수 없을 정도로 지난. 버튼이 고장났어. 왜 이 집만 남았어? 여기 물려나? 끝?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
듀뉴 콘텐츠야?
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
듀뉴 콘텐츠네.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanleyparable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that
잠복 아니야?
legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
오버워치 2야?
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
그런가?
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
오버워치 2야?
Ultra Deluxe?
Counter-Strike.
What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
고사리는 왜 그러놨어?
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
뉴 피처, 뉴 콘텐츠, 버스가 있어. 엑스포글이라고? 스탠리패러블.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
마찬가지일 수도 있네. 노 스크린샷. 뭔데 이게? 안심양동이는 뭐야?
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game.
아니 원래 그걸
It's the
쓰려고 하는 게 아니야.
Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
소리가 이런다.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
이거 왜 들고 있는 거야 이거?
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
레이드 is a new 그렇지. 레이트레이싱 개소리야 씨. 이게 뭐야?
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
그래 그럼.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision, we're moving
내가 갈 거야.
on.
뭘로 하든.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
아니 에필로그 게임 시작하지도 않았는데.
For the Stanleyparable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
멍청하네 진짜.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim, watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
문 좀 열어줘. 아 대시도 없어가지고 이게.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again. Jim. Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanleyparable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
집 라인은? 이게 어떻게 이 아래로 들어가?
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanleyparable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
아우. 아 이거는 웃기지도 않고 푼자는 것도 아니고 왜 해놓은 거야 이거? 아니 어치먼트는 관심이 없어 나는. 도대체 어치먼트가 무슨 역할을 해주는데? 만족감을 준다고? 뭐야 이것도. Just keep going.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
뭔 얘기를 하고 싶은지 알겠는데 얘기를 하는 방식이 너무 지루한데. 차 아까 빨래 흡기보다 훨씬 낫다.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
아우 진짜.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
저건가? 다 있어. 성질 장식 있고 끝없는 구멍 있고 다 있고. 점프 서클 저건가?
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanleyparable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
뭐야 얘 뒤에 배경은 뭔데?
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
다 봐야 돼 굳이?
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
아 진작에 그냥 갈 수 있었잖아. 저 그림은 잘 그렸다.
So Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanleyparable 2.
뭐 어쩌라고?
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
그게 우리 게임 화면 아니야 이거? 이거 뭐야 이거? 씨. 뭐야 이게? 이 게임 저걸 바꿨네.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427.
그냥 뛸게요.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
어디로 갈까?
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
이거 꽤 놀랍게 잘 만들어졌는데.
In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here. Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
아 이거 이건 나레이션 말이 아니라 양동이 말을 듣고 있다고 얘기를 하는구나 이거를.
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket. This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
어쩌라고?
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
어쩌라고?
I'll try anyway. Stanley,
최악인데.
can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
킬타임 멘트야?
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from, me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket, this stupid hunk of metal. It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
뭐야 이게?
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection, but it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say?
글자로는 써주면 안 돼.
Sturdier,
듣기 싫은데.
more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another. Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
어이가 없네.
Oh no, I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps, if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes, the bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
뭐야 이게? 공포물이야?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
방이 다른데?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach. Giddy but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
이게 저 영등이뼈로 달라진 게 있어?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
양정이랑 있을 때하고 없을 때가 다르네.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place...
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
이게 저하고 다른가?
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
원래 그 내용이.
Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
건전지기 버튼 있었으면 좋겠다.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanleyparable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
안 눌러볼게 한번. 아무것도 질문하지 않는 거하고 이걸 안 누르는 거 뭐가 차이가 있어?
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
죽습니다 떠서 죽은 거야. 저 나레이션 말 안 듣고. 아직도 이게 지금 아직도 그 루트의 일부인지 아닌지 모르겠어 내가 지금 이게.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
여기서부터 엔딩이 달라지나 갖고 만데 모르겠네. 일단 여기까지 합시다.